Hi guys, it's Erica with Not Your Average EDC, and today we are doing the full review of the Case Knives Lanny's clip. My reviews are only done after a month of consecutive testing. I carried this for the entire month of March, aside from my short trip to Ohio where I didn't bring a knife. But aside from that, this is the knife that I carried every single day at work for the entire month. I have a lot of videos on this already. This will be like the closing final review of it, but I do have a video up on my channel of kind of like a very detailed overview of the knife physically, going kind of like inch by inch over it. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because this is a knife that came to me from the factory with one of the worst fit and finish jobs I have ever seen in my life, and I've been using knives since I was in the womb. So, I mean, I can't emphasize how poorly done this knife was, especially for the price tag of $491 shipped from Case Knives USA. So, with that being said, let's talk about the knife. First off, we have one of the most beautiful blade shapes I've ever seen in terms of design. The Lanny's clip design was really made for hard use, farm work, ranch work, EDC. If you don't know the backstory about that blade shape and kind of just like this design in general, Tony Bose, he created this design for his friend Lanny, who was a farmer, and Lanny basically one day went to him and said, hey, I want the ultimate EDC knife. I want the ultimate farm knife for working on the farm all day. It has to be hard use. It has to be utilitarian, reliable, rugged, and able to take on anything that I throw at it. And this is what Tony came up with. Now, as far as I know, most of the models that he made originally were not lockbacks. I believe they were slip joints. However, Case Knives basically has done a version of the Lanny's clip every year for quite some time, and recently they did the lockback. But before that, it was a slip joint. You can find both. But this was Tony's version of the ultimate EDC knife for a farmer. And if you see a knife that looks like this in modern days, it originated from Tony's design. Like any type of Lanny's clip traditional knife that you buy now, whether it's made by like, I think there's a Pena or something, Penna out of Texas, or like GEC or anything like that. If you see a knife that looks very much like this, resembles this design, it originated from Tony. It is originally a Lanny's clip, just made by a different maker, company, what have you. So Tony did a fantastic job putting so much time and effort into creating the ultimate farmer's knife. Now, granted, this was many, many years ago, and unfortunately, Tony is no longer with us. So obviously, are there modern versions of something along the lines of this with, you know, different deployment methods and different locking mechanisms? Of course, we have a lot of knives that look like this that are more modern with springs and frame locks and all that new jazz. But really, this is kind of like the best of the best, in my opinion, because it's so original. That lock is so sturdy. Like this was the ultimate back then. And I think it's so cool to still be able to experience what our grandfathers did, but in modern day. So the blade itself on this model is 154 cm in a really nice clip point design. I have said this in my update videos of this knife, that this 154 cm is not only the best 154 cm I've ever used, and I've used a lot, but it is actually probably one of the best steels I've ever used in my life. Now, that has to do with the heat treat. 154 cm is not a hard steel. It is a kind of softer stainless steel. There are better options out there, But for EDC and for beginners, 154 is very good because it's easy to sharpen and easy to maintain. And if you roll it or dent it or anything, it's really easy to fix. So I always recommend 154 to beginners, especially beginner sharpeners, because it's so easy to remedy if you do mess it up. And the impact resistance is great because you've got to be kidding me. Every time with the dogs. It tends to dent and kind of roll around as opposed to chip. So the impact resistance I really like on this. We're probably going to have to move one of the dogs out of here. So excuse me, per usual. Let's see who the troublemaker is. Romy. She's like, whoops, it is me. Uh-oh. I'll give him one more chance and then I'm going to have to kick him out if they do that again. Yeah, so this steel on this knife is some of the best steel I've ever used in my life. I can't believe how toothy of an edge it took and how long it kept that edge. I beat the pulp out of this thing over the month of March, and I could not believe how good this steel was. It just kept going. I only sharpened it 2 times in the entire month of March, and I used it all day, every day, for everything. It was insane. So the heat treat that Case did on this was incredible. I cannot emphasize how fantastic this steel was. If I could have every knife in this exact steel, I would. Like, this is gold that they are putting out from Case Knives. Their 154 is gold. The edge that it... Romy, can you stop opening the door? She knows how to open locks, so she's currently lock picking. The edge that this came with was atrocious, though, from the factory. And let me just say that a lot of times that you hear me, this knife came from Case itself. Like, Case Knives USA shipped it to me. Not from any other dealer, not from anything. Case Knives, okay? So, the edge that it came with was the worst I've ever seen in my life. I don't actually know how it passed quality control. It was so rusted. The edge was rusted. It was so chipped and broken. I don't even know how it was allowed to pass quality control. I put my own edge on it, though, and from then on out, it was just a dream. But the grind was so rough and broken and messed up, I just don't know how it passed. And then, of course, I showed this when I first got it. That nail nick came to me rusted from the factory. I opened this up out of the package, and the entire nail nick was rusted, which is really surprising to me because 154 is stainless. For the most part, it takes quite a bit to get this to rust. So for that to come from the factory, completely rusted out, really a bummer, especially for the price point of $491. And then, of course, the grind lines are off. You'll have to look at this stuff more in detail on my, first video of this because the front-facing camera is not going to pick up any of these fine details, but I did a very detailed filming with the other side of the camera, going inch by inch over this and showing all of the mishaps. So the grind lines on this are uneven. The edge was uneven. The lock is not flush here, and your fingernail gets caught on basically everything on this knife. The handle scales are not completely attached, so they're pinned, but they separated from the knife, especially this side, which again, just go watch my detailed video. You will see all this. So there's a space where I could slide a piece of paper in there. And then on the butt end, this is it's not all attached. I wonder if you can see that hairline gap. Can you guys see that? It looks like a black line there. That is a gap. So, the knife was not put together very well, and for $100 it would be fine, but for almost $500, this is absolutely just unacceptable. I don't care if you're saying it's handmade. I don't care if you're saying it's an old school American company. I don't care if you're saying that you're supposed to put your own edge on the knife, and that's what they send it out rough. I literally save your words because I'll delete them. There is no excuse for how this got to me for that price point. End of story. End of story. This should have came flawless for almost $500. And the reason I didn't send it back for warranty was because I wanted to see the performance of the knife. Like, cosmetically speaking, I don't care that it is completely messed up, but a lot of people would. But I wanted to see how it did with a month of testing, like usage-wise, and see if any of these cosmetics affected it. And I can say that now, now that we're at the end of the entire month of using it every day, not a single thing about the cosmetics affected the use of this knife. Lockup is still solid. Everything is solid. The knife blade only got better and better. Edge retention wise, everything about this, using it was fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Oh, I wonder if you guys can see this part. Let's see. The lock, the spring is supposed to be flush right now, and there's a very sharp edge because it's not flush, so I'm going to try to pick that up a little bit. The lock is like poking out, and you can see how it's supposed to be flush right there, and it's actually not, and it's super sharp. Super, super sharp. But again, none of that affected the use. So the blade was fantastic. The ergonomics are just a dream because there is absolutely nothing getting in the way here. There's nothing telling you no. There's just simply nothing to deal with. It melts in your hands. It feels so good, especially having this curved down right here. Just absolutely melts in the palm of your hand. And I really like the lack of ergonomics because a lot of the cuts that I end up doing are holding the knife like this and drawing toward myself, or even holding it like that and doing work. It is just really nice to hold the knife and not have anything in the way at all. So using it was absolutely a dream, and that lockup is so strong. Like, just a beast of a knife. An absolute beast. The reason I would never recommend this to anybody to buy, and why it almost hurts my feelings that it came the way it is because Tony's not here anymore. He's fucking dead and he's never coming back. This is an insult not only to the integrity of his work, but like, do you have, Case Knives, if you ever watch this, do you have any fucking respect for this dude? He would be rolling in his grave right now if he saw how this came to me. It's not okay. It's not acceptable. The fit and finish is horrific. It's horrific. And Tony would have never put out a product like that. He paid so much attention to detail with his knives, with his customs, everything. And when he was overseeing things, like, it just wouldn't have passed. So it doesn't upset, like the way that this knife is physically doesn't bother me because I use my shit and I don't care. It's more or less a thing about respect. Like, he's not here anymore. And the fact that, like, he's not and you're still making knives with his initials on them. The sunlight is going to probably block it out. But there's a TB, right? Those are his initials. You're putting his initials on this knife, basically saying that, like, he had a part of making this and he had a part of the design, and let's keep his legacy alive. And then you're sending it out rusted, broken, trashed, chipped. I don't know how you could do that, like, morally speaking. I genuinely don't. And it wouldn't even be okay if he was alive. Like, it's just not okay. But the fact that he's not here anymore, complete disrespect to his name. So, I cannot recommend that you buy this because I would feel so bad if you bought it and it came like mine did. I mean, usage-wise, like I said, the steel is some of the best I've ever used, and the design and everything is the best, but I kind of, if you're looking at this going, wow, this is such a beautiful design, I can only recommend that you try it from a different maker that pays more attention to detail. I don't want to recommend this to anybody. Aside from that, though, guys, I also did make a video about why this blade shape is so fantastic for EDC and for farm work and stuff, so go check that out. I did a pretty detailed video about why this is so nice. It's called Three Folding Farmers. So if you look at that video, I'll explain why this blade shape is just so fabulous for EDC. Even though it is really thick and beefy, it's just fabulous. But yeah, the best use for this would be EDC, but specifically probably farm work like it was intended for, because it's not like the thinnest and sliciest blade. Like it did the cardboard fine at work and the packages and everything totally fine, but I can see how it wouldn't satisfy everybody if they're looking for like a really thin and slicey blade. But yeah, that's about all I have to say about it. There's more info on my other videos, of course. It is a beautiful design. I, at some point, will probably try to find a Lanny's clip that is, you know, just made better, because this just doesn't fit the bill at all. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. I wish I had more good things to say about it. It's really just a little bit of a disappointment and an insult to Tony. But I hope you guys enjoyed following the use and the whole month of carry with this. I'm really excited to go back to a knife with modern deployment methods and stuff, because the two-hand opening, closing, everything, it did get to me by the end. Kane, stop. It did really start to get to me. I'm excited to go back to modern things. So thank you for watching, guys. Go use your shit. Thanks for all the support. Love you bunches, and I will see you on the next video.